Hi, you guys. We're in such close quarters right now because I am obviously not in LA at the moment. It is Christmas break, and where I'm working right now, we get break off. And if you've been keeping up with my YouTube channel, I haven't talked about it there, but I'll touch on it a little here. I had to move out of the apartment I was living in, and I'm now looking for somewhere else to live in LA. That's all I'm going to say on it right now, but I'm really excited that that chapter is closed. It's like school finished, volleyball finished. That chapter of my life that I worked so hard for has finished, and I loved it and will always love it. And I'm just now starting to gain some perspective on how cool that experience was in the grand scheme of my life. And yeah, oh my gosh, go to the intro card. Why didn't I say that? I'm very sorry. Welcome back to the miniature mic monologue. Anyways, I don't know if I'm going to be home for one more Saturday or two more Saturdays, but I don't think I'm going to record here next time. I don't know if I like it. Anyways, like I was saying, this is a things I used to think video, and I just finished talking with my mom about this because she has been trying to help me just process everything that I felt like God didn't answer or didn't go my way over the last couple of months. And we've had this conversation a plethora of times before at different times in my college career. And what she said never really stuck with me until this time, because she told me about how guys, she just walked in. She's laughing. Anyways, because I think I wasn't ready to hear it actually, but this time I was, because I was just telling her how I was processing. What are you whispering over there? She just got me a side eye. Anyways, I was basically talking about how like I really haven't been, you know, talking with the Lord the same. I just have always been like, I don't have anything to say. And she was telling me the story about how like basically in her life, she's learned to just move on. And like I said, she said this to me several other times, and I was just like, no. She would like for me to correct my statement because she said move forward. Okay. Excusez-moi. But she just threw a chip. Anyways, but I just was like, move forward from what? Like, I think I was so convinced that, hey, Mom, stop walking around. You just put your hand in front of the camera. She's gone now. Anyways, I have been so convinced that like the title said, as it relates to faith, that holding on was essentially the essence of faith. Like holding on was the new letting go. I was like, I will not relent on what the Lord said about the national championship, about what he said about me being able to stay and live somewhere that I want to live in LA. I'm not going to let go of that because that is faith, right? Like that makes sense. And I think it's just the opposite, because I'm the only one that feels this heaviness, that feels this burden, and it's by my choice, a choice that I thought I was making in alignment with my faith and walking with God. But since having to like pack up all my stuff and move out and come home and like hear all the conversations about all the adult pro maxes in my life that are praying for me, that are worried for me, that like not worried in like a scared sense, but just concerned and have a lot of consideration and intent in my well-being, good intent. And just hearing my mom explain again how like it might not have been what I wanted, and maybe I'm not seeing God because I was so convinced that holding on would allow me to see God where I wanted to more versus letting go would allow me to see God where he wants me to see me, which would be or will be far more impactful because, well, he's God and I'm not, right? That is not a new sentiment, but it's almost like it needs to be learned in every new walk and phase and stage of life, specifically for me. So I have just, like, we had this conversation like an hour ago, and I was just like, I don't know why this has been so difficult for me to like let go of, because other things I felt like I didn't have time. Like while I was playing college, I didn't have time to hold on to stuff. But once my college career ended and I wasn't a national champion, I was just like, what the F? Like, what the F? And then all this different stuff happens with the house and like some other negative experiences with my family members. And then all these things are changing with like my regular life. Like nothing is the same. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not upset about that. What I was upset about is that like I thought I had the finality and the understanding that is only due and awarded to God about my life now and where it will be. And I told my mom that after we had to pack up my apartment and move out, I just felt like my life was an experiment and I was not conducting the experiment. I was not the one conducting the experiment. I was the test subject. And I told her, I was like, I don't want to do that. And I would rather not participate in this experiment. But I was like, I know that is not the answer because I don't want to be anywhere outside of God's will or where God is not. And I'm not saying that like that's exactly the extent of what I was suggesting my solution was to be like, no, God, forget you, because I obviously was not saying that. But I have feelings, I have dreams, I have aspirations, I have goals, and I know that God has given them to me. And I know some of the things that he has revealed to me about his word are true because they come from him. And then sometimes when I don't see it, when I think he's said it and then I should see it, if that makes any sense, I just get so discouraged. And I'm like, why me? You know what I'm saying? And I really am starting to question, like, why did I not make the switch up sooner? Because with everything else in my life, I'm like, if this isn't working, I'll just do something else because I know what God said. And if this isn't the way to do it, I'll just go do something else and I'll still keep believing. But I think because of how much time, because of how much energy, mentally, emotionally, and because of the commitment I made spiritually to go to college and to play volleyball and to represent him, the toll that took on me to not have the reward that I thought would happen there was really damaging to me, like in many ways. And I had no choice but to keep going because I had to finish my MBA. Like there was stuff that I had to do. And the same thing here. It was kind of like, oh, I thought maybe this would be like a little comeback, a little bounce back. And then it was like, no, you know what? Like, it was just like, no. And it wasn't no, it was just not yet. And no is so much more welcoming in my brain right now than not yet, because no is a definitive, it's not happening, let's move on, do something else. Not yet is because you just have to continue to choose to believe, because it's not denial, it is intentional delay, and that ish is not welcoming. I not yet is a no for me. Even though I very obviously have not said no to it, I would prefer a no. Even though I wouldn't, because I know I'm not God and I don't know everything, and that's fine. But like, I really was hurt by this. And I think because I was hurt and because so many things that happened during college, I didn't really have time to process I held on to it until I felt like I could be rid of it by like actually being out of the college volleyball environment. But I think I was looking for a bounce back, for things to just continue on that path, as if that would right the wrong of me not seeing what I thought I should see at the end of my college career. And it was limiting my foresight. Like, it hadn't started to limit my experience of life because I had learned how to live. I had to, around what was happening in my volleyball life, because it can consume you if you let it. But I genuinely am just very grateful for the perspective, and I'm trying to figure out a way to embrace that faith is not holding on even when you're hurt or you're disappointed or you don't understand. Sometimes it is. Like, I think sometimes it's not relenting on a certain thing, because God will ask us to, he'll tell us something that he is going to do in our life, and this and that and whatever, and your job is only to believe and to keep believing and keep presenting it before the Lord. Like, I've had that in my life, but him being like, this is not that, in this season of my life, was not fun for me. You know what I'm saying? The consistent theme of the last year has been like, just let go, like, just let go. And I'm like, no, no. It's like I had it like this, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like this. And he's like, bro, just let go. Because what if I want to do something else? And I'm like, I'm just stuck on the fact, because I think I've said this before, but my favorite question to ask the Lord is literally why? Like, why? And 9 times out of 10, I know I'm not going to get the answer, but that doesn't stop me from being like, that's just who I am. I always ask questions. I always want to know things. And I knew that I wouldn't know, like, going into this transition and season and stuff like that, which is part of the reason that I was kind of like, I don't really want to talk about it, because I know I'm not going to get the answer. And I know I'm also not really going to like what the now is. But what my mom said today really helped me, and it really helped to free up like some of the perceived weight that I thought I had to carry about this situation, to help me recognize that even in not seeing what God has for me yet, or in a not yet moment, there is value and purpose and intention in having me move forward and in everything that I've done. And that has been difficult for me to accept, especially when it comes to my volleyball career as a college student, because I knew that I had done what the Lord had asked of me. I knew that I had played my tail off, and I knew that I didn't get what I deserved, what I'm seeing other people get because of how the system of sports is set up. And that was, and still is to a degree, infuriating. And I think I heard someone say, at the root of any kind of anger emotion, so like annoyance, irritation, when you're seething with anger, you're boiling over, when you're infuriated, at the root of that emotion is really fear. And I think that I know too much to be afraid that I didn't do what the Lord asked me to do, so I wasn't afraid. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't hurt by what happened. And I think that sometimes hurt can be a breeding grounds for fear if you let it in your life. And I've talked about how fear kind of like pretty much was in the driver's seat, metaphorically speaking, for the early/late half of my teenage years. I don't know if that's like, there's no 13, 14, 15. So like for like 4 or 5 of them, three or 4 of them. And I told myself that I was not going to be ruled by that. when I found out that I didn't have to, because the Bible says that the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and of a sound mind. And so I essentially am just like, okay, whatever it is that I decide to do, like Mama Kay, who I love dearest, and she's like the nearest to my soul. One of the best things that came out of me going to San Jose State, like she prayed for me literally before I committed that wherever I go, the Lord will be with me. He's been with me while I've been processing this, obviously, and that's why I think I've felt more hurt, because I'm just like, well, why this, and I am more so like making this the center of the episode, because I am coming to finally accept in totality, because I had accepted it, like 98%, but that 2% I hadn't let go of, that like letting go is the next step. And it's so easy for me to do this. Like I've always viewed things that I've had to do from a young age, and I don't know why, from a dutiful perspective. Like if I need to do this, I'm going to do it. If it needs to look like this, I'm going to make sure it looks like that and better. And God does not want me, love me, never desired a relationship for me, with me, because of that. And I'm very well aware of that. But I guess I'm like, okay, well, if you said that I'm going to be this, I'm going to get to do that, like I'm going to be a national champion, I'm going to get to live in LA, and you've given me all these desires that you intend to bring to light, I have to let you do it. I can do as much as I would like, or whatever is required of me to hold up my end of faith without works is dead. But the rest is up to him. And if he doesn't say now, but he says not yet, I have to remember that God is not a man that he should lie. And if not yet is my now, when it is now, there will be no reason for me to wish that it had happened when it was not yet, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have a lot more to say, because I think more of the processing that I need to do, I think it's always like this. Most of the processing that I need to do is over a period of time emotionally, because it doesn't take me a long time to understand things. I do have the ability to intellectualize, experiences that I'm going through, and I like walk the line. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I just need to understand it to move on. But in this case, I have had to come to terms with that I won't understand it. Therefore, I have to move on or move forward. And that is the most understanding that I'm going to get right now in the not yet. And so, like I feel like I say so much, I'm processing this real time, and I share it because everyone's going to have a real time moment in their lives where they feel like, oh man, I wish somebody would have been brave enough to say or give their experience about something. And I have thought that many times after going through things and figuring out how to handle them on my own and for myself. And I've thought like, man, I wish somebody would have just told me that it was going to be like this. Then I wouldn't have had to go through this. But sometimes God wants you to do that and you to be that person. And it's like, okay. Right. And I'm not mad anymore. Nah, I'm just playing. Okay, well, I need to go because I have got to upload this. It's Saturday when I'm recording this, because every time I come home, everything about my schedule is off. for a couple days until it gets back on. So, yes. Thanks for watching, you guys. This is episode 52. That's absolutely nuts. Really nuts. I actually thought I was going to take a break once I uploaded 50, but then I was like, no, girl. No. Let's keep it going. Okay. So that's very exciting. My voice is still hoarse. It's very annoying, but it's getting better. Pray for me, guys. I got to find somewhere else to live. Like, I'm really excited. I don't know where I want to go in LA, honestly. I want to be close to my, like, it's my main job right now because it's the only one I have. I'm looking for a different one. Ideally, that would be remote, but I just want it to be close to the beach. If I'm being 100% honest with you, where I want to live, Manhattan Beach. Just to be able to wake up on a Sunday, a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in any of the warm months of the year, which is almost all of them now, and walk my happy tail down the stairs to the beach. Right. Exactamente. Dámelo, por favor, ahora. Okay? Okay, no more rambling. I will see you guys next week. Bye.